And good evening and welcome to Locked In Stitches. One moment while I just make sure. Okay, yes, that is all working, which means I can now come and do this. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As always, I am Julie Hall and I am ever so grateful that you are spending some of your evening with us. Coming to you from the lovely Canberra, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit twisted tonight, I've just realised. And it has been a beautiful day and it's still 20 degrees outside, which for Canberra weather at this time of year is phenomenal. Big week, we've had school holidays here, so I've been transitioning between Sydney and Canberra. I've got rid of my husband for the weekend, which is just lovely. He's off to have a little reunion with his siblings and they're going to scatter their father's ashes. So it's just me and the kids this weekend. And good evening, Kathy Oderkirken. Thank you for joining us. So tonight we are going to work on the lovely Alice. Now, Alice is named after one of my grandmothers. And she was Alice May, but then went by the name of May. But I always thought Alice was quite a cute name. I always think sort of Alice in Wonderland, but yeah, once again, that very 1920s sort of a name. And we've got Christine Annabelle with us as well. So tonight we are going to work on Alice, and she's a fun one. She's got some sort of depth to her, so it's a fun one to do. The other thing that I really want to do is to get your creative juices flowing. I need my tribe, I need my people to give me some ideas, because I have found this fantastic fabric. So think of the fabric that is used to make Skechers shoes, that it's breathable. It's about 2 mil wide. It's a little bit padded, but then it's got this great netting over the top of it. And I got it in a couple of colors, and now I need some ideas on different things that I can do with it. So while we're stitching tonight, put your thinking caps on and help me get some ideas on what we can do with it. But while you're thinking, let's come and start stitching. Okay, so as always, I am starting off with my wash away thread. And we are using the free design that you can get from the from our website to come through and do the basting stitch around. And that's just because I really do not want to waste extra fabric. Okay, so what has everybody else been up to this week? Anybody been doing anything fun? So when we look at Alice, this time around I've chosen to give Alice some black hair. And I've really gone, I still just love purple and teal together. I'm still using that same, and I'm loving the fact that I've managed to use the same fabric all the way through for all of their faces, because it just adds that sense of continuity to things. Always poke your hands out whilst you are, poke your tongue out whilst you are trimming away. It's amazing how much easier that does make things. So as with all of my applique, because I had some questions this week on why it is the same thing twice. And that's because the first one is showing you where to place your fabric. The second one is going to hold the fabric down. And the reason that I do it in this order and stitching around the item is because by doing it this way, you will actually save a whole lot of thread color changes. The other thing I'm loving at the moment is I have not purchased, apart from the background fabric, I have not purchased any fabric whatsoever for this project. It has all been stuff that I have had in our stash. And good evening to those who are joining us from YouTube as well. We appreciate you spending some time with us. And I'm going to go once again. I still love all my hand dyes. So I had a big day yesterday. I went and I was staying at my father's up in Sydney, and then I picked up my sister-in-law from Sydney Town Hall Station and brought her back to Canberra, and she and my husband have then gone to Melbourne today. So we've sort of been running around and around. Now, purple and teal just go so well together. And the first thing I say to people is what I love about this is, and I'm loving as people are showing me their samples, there really are no wrong fabric choices. It really is whatever works for you. And that is all the fabric that we have to lay down. So now we are all ready. I mean, we're only, 5 minutes in, and we are all ready up to all of the decorative stitching. Now, notice that again, I've used my clips here just because it stops that fabric from flying up and down. And good evening, Barbara Evans. How are you this evening, Barbara? And any little puckering. Now, loving, and I'm half thinking that I might have to use this little part at the bottom here with the roses for a bit of a border around. I'm thinking that could go quite nicely around the entire quilt. So who else is loving this spring weather? Isn't it just phenomenal? And the purple and teal just look great. And again, part of this is so the spool of thread that I'm using to use up the for instance on the teal here was one of the ones from Mum's stash, and I used up the entire spool because there wasn't that much on it. It was only one of those tiny ones whilst we were doing this design. Good evening, the lovely Trish Callum. I am feeling better. Thank you very much. Look, brutal honesty, you know how they talk about those people who take Ozempic, which is that diabetes drug. So I'm classified as being type 2 diabetic, but I haven't been on meds for it for a couple of years. But when they brought out Ozempic and they were talking about how good it is for weight loss, I went to the doctor and I told the doctor that I thought I should really go on it and give it a try. I don't know how it's doing for for diabetes, but I have lost 6 kilos in about a month, so I'll take it. And but what it does do is it's just my body getting used to, as I'm ramping up the dosage, I'm finding is sort of quite interesting. And that's one of the things that I'm wondering whether that's what happened to me last week. Barbara, I know what you're saying. It was quite warm. Sort of yesterday, I was sitting outside on the veranda at Dad's, and it was getting pretty warm there. It's not that warm in Canberra, but we're going to take it anyway. We're very, very thankful for what we can get. But don't you just love the way that this purple and teal start looking together? And of course, then we need matching earrings. Oh man, we've got 27 degrees tomorrow. I can deal with that. And then 28 on Sunday, but a storm coming in. Okay. That means when we finish up tonight, I am going to go and put some washing on. But yes, it does worry me that it is getting very warm very early. It's just, after coming off winter, it's hard to feel sorry for that for a week or two. I'll appreciate what I can get. So tomorrow I am finishing off the course that I've been telling you that I'm doing, just to upgrade my training skills. So I have to give a 40-minute presentation. So I've done I will now have done 2 40-minute presentations and 1 20-minute presentation. The first 2 I did on Word and Excel. Tomorrow I'm going to go something different, and I am going to show them how to embroider, how to create a design and then embroider it on a t-shirt. So that'll be a fun one. And I mean, there's people from all walks of life there. When I did my my presentation last week, one of my favourite presentations from other people was the woman who is in traffic management and was telling us about the people who work the stop-start flashes and that sort of thing. So yeah, all interesting things. So my husband's getting a new Doctor Who shirt out of it. Okay. And I'm still quite amazed at just how big a colour suck the grey is, and how difficult it is for colours to be showing up on the grey background. And Cheryl Abel's with us. Oh no, you've lost the shats. No, I haven't changed. Well, for a couple of months now, we've been on Thursday evening and Sunday afternoon, Sharon, so that might be it. But I'm so sorry you lost us, and we're very, very happy to have you back again. So thank you for joining us. Okay. Ooh, yuck, 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 yuck. Okay. Let's fix it up. As I said, I mean, heaven only knows when Mum bought this thread. Although that was the end of it. So now we can come over and do our silver. So metallic silver, of course, King Star, because it's the only one I will use. And it just gives that nice little pop of bling. So we have a long weekend here in Canberra. We have Labor Day weekend on Monday. I know Victorians have Football Day tomorrow. I know New South Wales has Labor Day on Monday as well. And I have a feeling, Sharon, do you guys have a bank holiday this weekend over in the UK? For some reason, I feel like there's some sort of a long weekend for you guys as well. So what is everybody else up to for the weekend? Actually, Queensland might have a long weekend as well. I can't quite remember. But yes, I don't know that I would use a grey background again I'm loving how they look on the grey background, but I found I had to very much search for very strong colours for the added elements for them to show up enough. Queensland has King Birthday, yes. So lots of us are getting days off. And then we're going to come and we're going to add overstitched elements. Now I possibly could have gone even a contrasting, maybe even a creamy orangey colour here, because it is difficult to see the detail on the yellow cap with the spot. But I don't mind that too much, because what I'm finding that it's giving is a sense of texture. So it's almost that felted, sort of textury sort of a look. And then we come through. And I love that this works on all different types of fabrics. I can remember my nan, who was actually named Alice May. I have memories of, like, from I think age 5 or 6, I have memories of her with grey hair, but I have this really strong memory of her at my aunt's wedding, so her daughter's wedding, and I might have been, say, 4. And she had dyed her hair, and I mean, we're talking 1976 or so. It was jet black. And it's just a really strong memory that I have. And look, I've done every horrible thing to my hair. I spent the late 80s, early 90s with with self-peroxided orange hair, as any good teenager in the 80s did, whose mother wasn't a hairdresser. Because there was one girl at school whose mother was a hairdresser, and her hair was always perfect. And then we're coming up, and we're going to do the satin around the face. And when you do your designs via when you do the face outlines with embroidery, there are no jowls, there are no there's no contouring to worry about. There's no everything's just perfect and pretty. Haven't got to worry about face work. And of course, Murphy's Law says you're going to run out of bobbin. I find it quite fascinating. I know that Singer and Elna in the early 2000s, they made an embroidery machine that allowed you to go in and it would wind your bobbin whilst you was like, as in you didn't have to take the bobbin out at all. But it wasn't incredibly efficient, and I find it quite interesting that nobody else has taken that up. I don't know whether it just can't be done or whether the brands have just decided they don't want to give it to us. But yeah, I find that kind of an interesting thing. Now, to give more definition here, what I'm using is a darker purple than the fabric colour. And that's just to give a little bit more of a pop of definition. So, has anybody come up with some ideas on what to do with my foam-like fabric? It is such a cool one, and I'll show it to you again, just for those of you who come in a little bit later. So let me just come through. So this is the fabric that I bought the other day, and it's kind of like what a pair of Skechers shoes is made out of. So it's a little bit foamy and protective. It's got a mesh covering to it, and it's just really nice. It's quite supple, much like the shoes. Now, absolutely in love with it, but I need you guys to help me with ideas on what I can actually do with it. And let's come back. Okay. So now we're going to come along and do our roses. Oh, excuse me. And these are the roses. I've used a almost a stem stitch, but not quite. More probably of a where are we? More of a back stitch, but it's just chunky enough to really give some nice definition. Actually, that's something that I did do this week. I did three towels on Monday, which was lovely, to take up to my niece. Only when I got up to Dad's, I couldn't take them off to my niece because she had to go to work. So I've got to post those up to her for her lovely children. So I did get something done this week. And then we are going to use that same orange. So we're using the whatever colour for the bottom of the cape, that becomes then the rose colour as well. Okay. And it's amazing. Even 10 years on, I still just get such joy out of watching these guys stitch out. I think there is just so much zen in seeing that design come together. Now, just to freak you all out, actually, just to freak myself out, oh no, that's tomorrow. I was going to say, I've forgotten my niece's birthdays. Christmas is in 88 days. Oh, excuse me. And the other question that I had the other day was somebody was asking me what width of satin stitch I use. And I can only assume that this is somebody who is looking to replicate the style, and that's fine. I have no problem with sharing things like that. So these guys were done at I think it was 2.5 or a 3 mil satin stitch width. And then we're going to do our little tulips as well. Now, have any of you guys seen Postmodern Jukebox? They're I'm trying to think of how best to describe them. They're a group, I see them on YouTube and Facebook. So they're a group who come through and in the style of swing, or like in different eras of music styles, they do modern music too. So, you know, they might do whatever song is popular at the moment with an old-fashioned style, and there's some beautiful stuff. I was away last time they were in Canberra, but I'm really hoping they're going to come through again so that I can go and see them. Now, notice when I'm doing black, I'm using a really dark grey thread here for the hair. And that's because if I did black on black, it's just not going to show up well enough. And good evening, Gail Murphy. How are you going today? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that hair's looking good. Okay, so now we want to change over to black though. Well, not to black, to really dark brown, so that I can do the eye detail. So as I've said many times as we've been doing these guys, I'm not using black because it's too harsh. Instead, I'm using the darkest brown I have. And then we're going to come through and I'm going to do the yellow of the hat. I know, Gail, it's just, I was saying earlier, like, it's just such beautiful weather. Like, you know, my clothing doesn't know what to do with itself. Like, it hasn't been draped over my, near my kitchen table for weeks. There's just something weird. So no, my beautiful husband, it's been 4 years since his father passed away. So he and his siblings have all gotten together down where they used to holiday as a family, and they are going to go and scatter his ashes. I said to him this morning, I'd love to say I'll miss you, but quite honestly, I'm looking forward to a couple of days of having the bed all to myself. And Kathy Chellingsworth, thank you for joining us, Kathy. And I like the cute little kick up that the that the hat has as well. Ah, good evening, Michelle. I was going to be texting you later to check out that you're okay. Did I interrupt your dinner? Well, because Edward isn't here, Cameron has gone off with the girl who doesn't say hello for the next day or so. I think they've gone to Floriat or something. Grace is going to Floriat tomorrow night. Ems was working this afternoon and has now disappeared off just in her room or something. So, yeah, we're having a really, really lazy family night. No one's cooking dinner. No one's doing anything. But my boy did take me grocery shopping this afternoon, so that was nice. Okay. Now, if you're going to have a nice sunshiny yellow hat, I think you've got to finish that off with gold accents. But first of all, let's come and do our cheeks. Remember when putting a bit of rouge on was enough and you didn't have to contour and this and that? And I was only half talking to you. Don't worry, it wasn't anything major. Oh, fresh fish, fried rice, yummo. And I've gone for almost a fluoro yellow here just to break through the grey. Now, can you see that that is just over where we've done our outline? And that is why I'm using those quilt clips, because otherwise what would happen is the fabric would naturally pucker up just that little bit and give you a pucker in the fabric. So putting those little quilt clips on the back there just solves that problem. Look, once again, yellow, it's kind of a good colour for this week because, like, you know, sunshine, lollipops and rainbows, everything is wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Sunday night we watched Doris Day movie. We went through the binge account and we looked at all the classics. And yeah, there was a couple of Doris Day ones. There was, I have never seen The Godfather. I know the premise. But yes, so we've sort of highlighted a whole lot of those, and we are going to attempt to you know, force our children to sit down and spend time with us and watch things. Okay, now let's go a little bit more dramatic again, and I'm going to use a little bit of red here. Again, just trying to break through that grey. So for me, this entire quilt has been a really great study in colour management, just because of how much that grey has absorbed and not shown through. And I think it's Angela Sereno. Like, have you guys seen, she posts her each month's photos of what she's doing for the Deco Divas, and she's using like big antique buttons and things like that just to add extra bling to them, and gee, it looks amazing. Yes, Michelle, I did. I picked up Edward's sister. They are off down in Melbourne. So it is fun times at Hall Central. And it also means I've got a really great excuse for sleeping in all weekend, although Grace starts work in the afternoon this time. But because Edward's got the car with him, I've told the girls they've got to get themselves to work this weekend. So they'll be bussing it. And so, yeah, sleep in time for Mama. And again, the entire quilt I've used the same lipstick colour. Okay, so now we are down to our last colour, and that is going to be our metallic. So, King Star thread, slowed down the speed, popped on the thread serum. I've done everything that I can to try and ensure that I'm getting the best result out of this. And it's amazing. I love it when the light catches on the metallic. It really does just come through so beautifully. So what projects is everybody working on? Michelle, that is a great question. So do I find that a top stitch needle with the larger eye helps with the metallic? I find personally that with the King Star metallic, I don't need to use that top stitch needle. There's nothing wrong with using one. And as much as anything else, it's the way my mind works is I would forget to take the top stitch needle off. So it kind of just doesn't happen easily for me. But that doesn't mean that it's not a valid thing for others to use. I do much better with slowing down the speed and using the serum. That seems to work much better for me. Okay, Rhonda. Oh, thank you, darling. A, welcome. Thank you for coming along, Rhonda. And B, yes, thank you. I am feeling better. Oh, that's lovely, doing the crossbody bag. Oh, okay. And Michelle's saying she uses a top stitch needle for all of her embroidery. Cool. And that's not bad, doing all of that before I've had a break. Like, you know, I'll take it. I'll take one break or so per design. Now, Michelle, the real question is, what are you going to make what fabric are you going to make your crossbody bag out of? Okay, Barbara Evans is saying she's used King Star only for years. Yeah, it really is just the gold standard. And look, I try others. I'm not upset with the one that Wonderfil put out, but and Wonderfil have better colours than King Star, but King Star has better quality. So swings and roundabouts. vinyl. Yummy, yummy. Okay, so now we gotta just work out which way to point that. So absolutely loving, excuse me, the way this one has turned out. So as I was saying earlier, for those of you who are a little bit late coming to with us, I need some help from the Brains Trust. I have found this superb fabric. It is the same stuff that they make Skechers shoes out of. So it's that little bit of foam, and I think they'd use it for upholstery as well. So it's a little bit of foam, and then it's got that mesh covering it. And I just want some ideas because I've got it in some different colors, and I've got some pink, and I've got some blue down there as well. I fell in love with it, and I've got a couple of different ideas, but I would love to hear your ideas on what you think we could make out of this one. Make a nightie. Well, that's fine, but it's, as I said, it's slightly padded, and the idea of me putting extra width onto my bum, never gonna happen. Yeah, picnic bag, actually. Picnic bag, lunchbox, that could be a good one. The other one that I was thinking was maybe a hoop holder because it would protect the hoops a little bit. So very interested. If you think of ideas, send them through. So I am absolutely loving how Alice is looking. On Sunday, we are going to go back to the lovely quilt, and we are going to put more of it together. So I'm kind of hoping that by Sunday afternoon we will kind of have half of lovely put together, because we're just adding all those extra little elements now as we go to join it all into one great project. Okay, so as always, thank you so much for spending time with me this evening. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you on Sunday afternoon for lovely. Until next time, have a stitching day. Bye.